is a speech that I adapted from two different articles, one an opinion piece from the Washington Post, and two an article on The Economist about the differing responses between mainland China and Taiwan to the coronavirus pandemic. So here goes, I'll start now. Ladies and gentlemen, in the midst of the coronavirus crisis, researchers worldwide are frantically searching for a vaccine or cure that would enable us to return to our pre-COVID lives should it become sufficiently widely available. But as we are eventually able to look back at this crisis, we will need to assess how and why the virus was able to spread from its epicenter in Wuhan to the rest of the world, and demand answers from those who, once aware of the threat, punished the doctors that tried to sound the alarm, denied the virus was capable of human transmission, and lied to the world. Indeed, as some actors on the global stage rushed to praise the Chinese government's response to the outbreak, it is necessary to look further than Beijing and compare the difference between how two different Chinese societies handled this public health emergency, a totalitarian one and a free one. Contrast the response of the People's Republic of China with that of the Republic of China, Taiwan. One of the two is responsible for unleashing a contagion that has infected more than 2 million people. The other has all but defeated the virus. Remarkably, despite close links and constant exchanges of people, goods, and services between the Republic of China, Taiwan, and the Chinese mainland, Taiwan has only seen 6 people die of COVID-19, out of a total of just 393 confirmed cases in a population of 24 million. Even more impressive is that Taiwan only saw 55 local infections, meaning that it has effectively eliminated community transmission. So, how did Taipei succeed where Beijing failed? First, they took rapid and specific targeted actions to identify and isolate those who either had the virus or came into contact with those who did. In late December, while Beijing was still trying to deny the human transmission of the virus and ordering doctors to destroy test samples, Taiwanese officials were boarding planes, arriving in Taipei from Wuhan in order to identify and isolate any passengers with a fever or pneumonia before they could deplane. By late January, they had expanded checks to cover all travellers from China, Hong Kong, and Macau, and had begun a massive testing campaign. Soon afterwards, a quarantine system was put into place whereby anyone identified as high risk was placed under a 14-day quarantine and monitored electronically through their mobile phones. Key to the Taiwanese government's success in stopping the spread of the virus in its tracks was the fact that it acted with complete transparency. Taiwan's vice president, an epidemiologist, delivered regular press briefings and public service announcements updating people on the mitigation efforts. By being transparent and accountable from the outset, they had public trust on their side. But most importantly, they were open to scrutiny from the press and from the population. This way, they could not afford to bungle their response to the threat. Now contrast this with the actions of the Chinese communists, who punished the doctors who tried to sound the alarm and engaged in an initial cover-up of epic proportions. Beijing's thuggish behaviour may actually inadvertently have helped save Taiwan, because as part of Beijing's intimidation campaign in the run-up to Taiwan's presidential election on the 11th of January, Beijing banned Chinese tourism to Taiwan, which reduced the number of Chinese tourists at the very moment the virus was spreading rapidly in Wuhan. This pandemic has provided us with a clinical trial in the healing power of freedom. We can now compare two control groups in the form of two Chinese societies, one free and democratic, the other under the grip of a brutal totalitarian dictatorship. Totalitarian China has not only been ravaged by the virus, but has also spread the contagion to our shores. Free China has defeated it. The lesson is clear. COVID-19 grew in the cesspool of Chinese communist tyranny. The antidote to the coronavirus is freedom. Now that the virus has spread, all we can do is hope for a vaccine. But a very important lesson the world should learn from this is that a global pandemic could have been avoided had an antidote been in place in the People's Republic of China. This is the antidote of freedom, freedom of expression, freedom of the press, and accountable and transparent institutions. Thank you.